What's going on, everyone? Anthony Cofrancesco from Listing Optimization AI, and in this video I'm going to walk you through the different options you have for editing images. If you've seen my other videos, you know that what I say is that the magic happens in revisions. Coming from an agency background back in the day, very rarely would we send assets to a client that were ready to go and perfect from the first revision or the first draft. Every single time that we did revisions, the images got better and better and better and better. So I want you to already lock into your head that if you want the best possible assets, if you want to improve your click-through and conversion rate, you're gonna have to do edits, and that is not a bad thing. That is a good thing, because every time that you do revisions, you're gonna get a little bit more magic and the images are gonna get a little bit better. So let's take a look here. In the previous video on generation, I created a couple of different images. And one of the images that I created is this main image, which is showing the product plus the packaging. And let's see if we can do a couple of edits for this image to make it a little bit better. So I have a couple of options when I'm editing. The most easy and the really fastest to do is to just click this edit button below the image tile. So if I click on this edit button, it is going to use our AI editor, where I can just explain what changes I want to the image, and then our AI is going to apply those changes. It's very fast, it's very easy to do. So if I'm looking at this image, I'm thinking, you know what, I don't really need to show that this is a USB microphone. I think that's pretty clear if I'm searching for this product. So I want to remove this USB cable on the bottom left, and I want to make the product quite a bit bigger to fill up more of the space of the frame. So I'm using WhisperFlow here. You can just type this in if you're not using WhisperFlow, and I'm going to give it that same instruction. So remove the USB cable in the bottom left corner, increase the size of the main product by about 30%. Now, if I'd want to get a little bit more advanced, I could start to make some changes to the product packaging. Like, for example, I think the text here is a little bit small, so I'm just going to give it that feedback and see how it does. So increase the size of the text and the icons 2x so that it's more readable around the 360-degree flexible, crystal clear voice, one-touch mute. And that's quite a bit of feedback here. We're going to see how it does, and I'm going to click generate. So your other option when it comes to editing an image is to do more of the manual process. So if I click on the image itself, I'm going to see the expanded menu with all of the different variations I've created, but I'm also going to see the entire prompt down here. And what you're going to notice is that the prompt is quite detailed. So if I look here in the prompt, you can see this is where it's giving me those 3 different features of the product. If I wanted to change this and just say, hey, let's go from saying 360-degree flexible gooseneck, I'm just going to change this to say 360 degrees. And where it says crystal clear voice for calling and gaming, I'm just going to get rid of the for calling and gaming and just have it be crystal clear voice. And then where it says one touch mute with LED status, I'm going to get rid of that extra text and just say one touch mute. Then I'm going to click save, and then I'm going to click generate. And what should happen now is I've revised the prompt manually, and I should get a new image where I've kind of cleaned up the text on the product packaging. Now, editing manually was kind of the original way that people edited images with Listing Optimization AI. I have found that the AI editor is extremely powerful. You can give it a lot of different instructions, and it does a great job of making these edits. With that being said, editing manually, editing the prompt is something that if you want to be really precise and really specific, some users might still choose to go in that direction. So you can see this is the edit that I've made with AI. I've gone from the really small text and really small icons in this image right here. I don't know if it's going to pull up. And now the text in the icons is much larger, probably about 30–40% larger. So this did an incredible job. It did not, if I'm remembering correctly, remove the USB cable in the bottom left. Oh, it looks like it actually did. So this is the newly revised image, and it got everything that I wanted it to do. So it did a fantastic job with this. And then you can see this is the manual edit that I did, and it removed some of the text and made it a little bit larger. So again, just a couple of different ways that you can choose to go through and edit those images. Earlier in the previous video on image generation, I created this image here. So we've got one touch mute control, instant privacy with LED indicator. I'm going to show you one more example of if I would try to, I want to try to make an image that is showing a split screen, showing when it's muted, and then green when it's not muted. So this, again, I could go and look into the prompt and try to figure out exactly how to change this. I would not recommend spending your time there. I'm just going to use the AI edit, and let's see how it does with pretty vague instructions. So I'm going to say, change this graphic into a split screen view. On the left, show the red LED indicator on for muted, and then on the right, show the green LED indicator on for not muted. And I'm just going to see what it does with that. I think if I were going to go back and try to make this a little bit better, I might try to clean up the copy and just say muted, active, and make it a really clear image. One other thing that I want to mention here on editing, this is a new feature that is still in beta, but this is really cool. You're actually going to get recommendations from AI about alternate headlines, alternate layouts, alternate product presentations that could be used. So you can see the current headline that we're using is one touch mute control. What if I would switch it to something else, right? I see like effortless mute access, and then it's changing the subheadline to tactile button on stable base. So I like the direction that these are going in. And so if I want to generate an alternate image according to those specifications, this is something that's super easy to do. I can just choose whatever headline I want, and I can click generate. Now, I'm going to take a minute and I just want to see what other options it's giving me for layout and composition. So let's take a look back here. It's going to take it a minute to analyze. So layout and composition. And again, I am super surprised with how good these are. Add a human finger pressing the mute button. That's pretty cool. Oh, look at this. This is something that I literally just had suggested. Show a split view comparison, LED red versus green. That is amazing. So I'm going to click generate, let this thing run, dig into this a little bit. I think the AI recommendations are going to get better and better as time goes on. I am super impressed with those recommendations and how it came out. Okay, so I think this is where we're going to wrap up the video. I'm just going to wait for a minute because I want to see these other two images that we just tried to generate. And we'll give this another 30 seconds or so. And when we're editing, maybe we just edit out this part here. And I just saw something pop up, so I'm guessing that means we're ready. Okay, so we got beautiful. It's not going to let me pull up the whole image here. It looks like I'm trying to click on it and it's showing me a different image. That's just a bug. But you can see muted, not muted. And if I want to just make this a little bit better, I can say change the text on the right side image from not muted to active. And I can generate that. And what I like about this editing flow is I can just go in little chunks, you know, makes it really easy to process a lot of edits very quickly. So we're still waiting. I'm going to try refreshing the page here. If you ever see that things are getting hung up and it's taking a while to generate, just try refreshing the page and see if that fixes it for you. And yeah, we're still waiting on this image here. I'm going to guess that the image that it creates is actually quite good. This is the change to the copy headline that we had seen. And I'm going to show you a couple other features while we're here. So the 4K button is going to upscale the image to 4K. So if you have an image that you really like, you think has a lot of potential, and it's ready to go live on Amazon, then you can click the upscale to 4K button. You can also favorite images. So you can see I've got a lot of different images that I've created here. As I create images that I like to favorite them so that I have everything I like all in one spot. We've talked a little bit about this in other videos, but reference images can be extremely helpful. Let's say that the mute button is not exactly right. I'm going to take a look. It actually got it exactly right. It's got the little microphone, or the LED isn't right. In this case, you can see, if you can see that there's kind of a carbon fiber base on this, and this image here does not have the carbon fiber base. So if I would try to edit the image and just say the area around the mute button is a carbon fiber design, change the design from black to carbon fiber. Now I can try to do that, and I think it's going to do a decent job, but if for whatever reason it wasn't getting that carbon fiber texture right, then I could try adding in reference images to see if that would fix it. Last thing down here is you have the aspect ratio. By default, everything is 1:1. That's a square, but I can go to any other aspect ratio I want. For example, an A+ content module would be 21:9. I can choose different image models. I recommend using GPT-2, but you can play around with the other ones. And then we also have the option to generate additional images. So default is going to be to generate one image. I can generate up to 5 variations, depending on how many credits I would like to use. So I think we're looking pretty good here. This is the one that was created. I think there's no reason to duplicate the text here, one-touch mute control. So I'm just going to say, remove the duplicated headline and sub-headline. There only needs to be one section that says, or one title that says one-touch mute control. Cool. And then I'm going to click generate. So that is where I'm going to wrap up today. That is a very quick intro to all of the different options you have for editing. I think the key takeaway is to use the AI edit. It is extremely powerful, and I hope you found this video to be helpful. I'll see you in the next one.